Can we, before we get started, I want to briefly introduce everyone. Everyone, just introduce yourself. Just let me know what grade you're in. Did you register already for the information campaign? Are you still thinking about it? And also, is this your first time doing EPC, or have you done it before? So let's start with Ayan.
I'm in the seventh grade. And I don't know what the information campaign, but I want to know about that. And I
Okay.
haven't participated in EPC before.
Okay, and are you remote? Like, are you going to be participating online from another place outside of the DMV area, DC, Maryland, Virginia, or do you live in the area?
I live in California, so I'm going to be doing it online.
Nice to meet you. Naveed.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
I'm actually a parent and
Okay.
I have two children that will be joining, inshallah, grade 2 and grade 5.
Okay. Inshallah. And is this the first time they're doing EPC, or have they done it before?
This is their first time, but I did have a daughter who did do this like 10 years ago. So,
So
so
that
it's
means I
kind
assume you're from the area.
no, we moved to Virginia.
Okay.
So at that time we were in Maryland. So inshallah, if all goes well, I plan on helping the rest of the class too, like coaching them into this. And I actually really did wanting to help them with the essay panel competition, but I want to know more about this also, like how children can participate individually and in groups, so I can kind of take that back to the classes. And the school that we will be representing is called Al Madina School of Richmond.
Okay. Nice to meet you, inshallah.
Nice to meet you as well, sister. Assalamu alaikum.
Let's see, Musa.
Yes, assalamu alaikum. I'm in eighth grade. I'm not currently registered in the information campaign, but I'm planning to, inshallah. And I have participated in EPC for like maybe like 4 or 5 years, but never in information campaign before.
Okay, mashallah. And Nadia? Okay, let's move on, inshallah. Sister Nadia, we can get back to you later. All right, so just to introduce myself, my name is Amira Ahmed. I'm from Maryland originally. I grew up there. I live in Texas now. I participated in EPC for most of middle school and high school. And alhamdulillah, I'm now sort of helping with organizing and judging the competitions. So I will be sort of taking the lead on information campaigns. So anytime you have any questions, we'll get to how to ask questions later. Most likely I'll be the one responding to those questions or concerns, inshallah. So before we get into the information campaign, I want to just go over an overview of the competitions EPC has this year, 2025, because it looks a little different than previous years. So there are 4 different competitions, and each one is either specifically for middle school and high school or elementary and middle school. The first one is the essay and speech competition, and this is the main one. If you go to the website, you'll see there are topics for this, right? Elementary school has a topic, level 1, 2, level 1 is, the letter, level 2 has a different topic, 3 and 4, middle school has a different topic, right? That's all for this first one, essay and speech. And the way this works is that students who register for this category will write an essay. I think it's due at the beginning of January. They have to submit it. It gets judged or graded over a few weeks in the beginning and middle of January, and then on competition day at the end of January or the 1st of February, they will present their essay in the form of a speech. So they modify a little, change it a little bit to kind of more style of a speech as opposed to an essay, and then they will give that speech on the day of the competition. And then their speech and essay scores are combined to sort of come up with the winner for each level, right? And each level is participating separately. So grades 1 and 2 are level 1, grades 3 and 4 are level 2, and so on and so forth until middle school, until 8th grade, right? So that's levels 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then that's one competition, right? And you can register for that and only that, and you don't have to register for anything else if you don't want to, if you're in elementary and middle school, right? Then there's 2 more competitions, and these are the extemporaneous essay and extemporaneous speech competitions. these two, the way this works is that you don't have to do anything before the day of the competition. You show up on the day of the competition, and once you get there, you are given an essay topic or a speech topic, or both, right? One at a time. And then on the spot, you have a certain amount of time, and they'll let you know how much time you have to prepare a speech, right? You write down your notes, and then you have to go and present your speech in front of some judges, and you're scored on that. And for extemporaneous essay, you have a certain amount of time to write an essay, right, on the spot, and then you submit that, and it's graded the day of, and you're judged and, awarded based on that. These two categories, extemporaneous speech and extemporaneous essay, are only open to middle and high school, right? So that is levels 3, 4, 5, and 6, I believe, right? Grades 5 to 12. Okay. And that's for these two. So essay and speech, high school does not do essay and speech, the prepared speech and essay. They are only able to do the extemporaneous speech and essay, and that's the primary competition for them. Extemporaneous speech and essay, right? That's a primary competition for high school, and middle schoolers have the option of doing it if they want. The last competition, and this is separate from all three of the previous ones, is called information campaign. The information campaign is what we're going to be talking about today. This is open only to, again, middle and high school. It is not, unlike essay and speech, right? You're not creating, you're writing an essay and submitting it and then you're done, or writing a speech and presenting it and then you're done. This is sort of a whole process, right? It starts now, the information campaign. You have to slowly, over the next 8 weeks, do certain activities, create certain content. We'll talk about exactly what it looks like later on. And then on the day of the competition, you have to come and present what your campaign looked like over the past 8 weeks, right? What you did, right? You're not presenting on a specific topic. You're presenting a record of what you've done and what your campaign looked like. Okay. So this is the last one, is what we're going to be talking about today. It is separate from the essay and speech competition. It is separate from the extemporaneous essay and extemporaneous speech competitions. It is a fourth category. And again, Brother Mustafiz, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe if you're doing extemporaneous campaign, you have to also be doing essay and speech or extemporaneous essay and speech. Is that changed, or is it the same still?
They can participate either, but extemporaneous, they can participate independently, inshallah.
Okay, so for information campaign, can they do that alone, or do they need to be doing something else with it?
No, they don't have to do it.
Okay, so you can potentially just do information campaign,
That's
and not essay and speech or any extemporaneous, right? So they're each independent competitions. You can choose which one you want to do, or you can do all of them. All right, if you're in middle school, you can actually do all 4. If you're in high school, you can do all 3. And if you're in elementary school, you only have the option of the 1. Okay, so let's get started, inshallah. What is the information campaign? The information campaign is a competition that provides an opportunity for EPC participants, right, young Muslims, who are passionate about a certain social topic, that you're passionate about. Think of any social issue, an issue you see in society, a problem, and you want to solve this problem. This is an opportunity for you to create a project and to implement a campaign, to either create awareness or for some other goal, right? We're going to talk about what your goals could be later. You're trying to achieve some goal, right? Either creating awareness or a number of other things. And that entire project revolves around an issue. Now, the issue usually will have to relate to the theme. This year, the theme is leadership and legacy, right? Which means that your issue can be anything you're passionate about, but the process that you use to conduct your campaign needs to be somehow connected to the idea of leadership and legacy, meaning you want to show through your campaign that you are being a leader, that you are trying to leave a legacy, right? You're not, we'll talk about this later when we talk about the theme, but basically you are, exemplifying the theme through your campaign. Okay. The information campaign is a way to leverage your individual skills, right? There's no specific way to do it, unlike the speech and essay competition where, you're told write an essay or, give a speech, prepare and give a speech. With the information campaign, you can do anything, right? If you're somebody who really enjoys writing, you can just do writing, the whole thing. The whole campaign can all be about writing. If you're somebody who really enjoys photography, you can use that. If you enjoy creating artwork, right, you can use that for this. If you like making videos, you can make videos. So it gives you a lot of variety and options for how you want to campaign, and you're able to use your specific artistic or creative skills to contribute to your campaign. So it's very open-ended. It's very much you kind of make your own competition. The goal is though that it should be something that achieves the outcome that you're looking for, which is whatever your goal for out of the campaign is. Okay. The campaign, like we mentioned, is something that's conducted over the course of 8 weeks, right? So you're going to start now, and every week or so you're going to be creating content and putting it out there. And this is not something that you're just giving to us, right? You're not creating content and only sending it to EPC. You're actually conducting a campaign to create awareness in your community. So you're actually engaging in your community over the course of 8 weeks, and at the end of it, you're going to report what you did to us. But you need to actually be engaging throughout the entire 8 weeks leading up to the in-person or online competition in January. Or the beginning of February. So you're actually doing activities throughout the entire amount of time, and the 8 weeks will start in a few weeks, but you can start now, right, if you want. And you want to take the entire length of time because, you know, these things take time, right? Both creating the content and then also receiving sort of like building up a viewership and receiving, you know, feedback and, you know, establishing a presence somewhere takes some time. Participants for the information campaign are allowed to work individually. So you can be it's just you're the only one doing the campaign, competing alone, or you can compete in a team of up to 3 people. So you can have maximum 3 people on a team. And since the campaign is open to grades 5 to 12, right? So middle school and high school, grades 5 to 8 is middle school, right? Levels 3 and 4, and grades 9 to 12 is high school, levels 5 and 6. If you're working in a team, if you're participating in a team, all your team members need to be in the same category, which it means that, you know, if you have a team of up to 3 people, all 3 people need to be in middle school or in high school, right? You can't overlap, like one of your team members is in middle school, another one's in high school, and middle school is considered grades 5 to 8, high school is 9 to 12. Okay, so, you know, if you have a friend who's, you're in 8th grade, your friend's in 9th grade, you need to have 2 separate teams or compete individually, right? You can't combine and make a team across that because the competitions are judged separately. So we want to maintain that. If you have any questions about that, or, you know, you're looking for specific answers, feel free to email us, inshallah, with more questions about that. Now, like we mentioned, the campaign takes place over 8 weeks. And then on competition day, either the remote competition day on the 25th or the in-person on the 1st of February, I believe, you will create a presentation, a PowerPoint like this, or any other sort of presentation, and you will share that with the judges. And the judges will ask you questions about your campaign, and you'll present to them what you did, you know, what your goal was, what are some of the content you produced, and you're going to present that on the day of. And that's going to be a part of the grading or the judging and the scoring for your campaign is going to be how well you presented. And then that wraps up your campaign. Your campaign ends. However, keep in mind that the campaign is something that is related to leaving legacy, leadership. So you're highly encouraged to maintain whatever efforts you started in the campaign, maintain it afterwards, right? You're trying to leave a legacy, so that takes time. You want to work on your campaign even after the competition is over, right? You want to continue, and you have the opportunity, if you're able to grow it enough, you can even next year come back and show us how you've grown it even more since last year, right? New work you've done. That could, you know, potentially be your project next year as well. Now, the registration deadline for the information campaign is November 23rd. It's a little bit before the registration deadline for the rest of the competitions because, like we said, this is something you need to start on early. You know, you can't do it last minute because, you know, like an essay, if you can write it within a week, right, you can technically submit it last minute. It's not encouraged to do that, but it can happen. But with the information campaign, you actually can't do that. You can't start last minute because it does need to take time, and you do need to document what you did each week, that sort of thing. So it's gonna take time. So registration deadline is November 23rd, but you still have a few weeks until then, right? Around 2 weeks. Okay. Any questions so far? Feel free to use the chat or just unmute yourself. Yes, Ayan.
Yeah, I have a question. On the last slide, there's something called elementary, middle school, or something. Like essay, there's on the last slide, there's something like that. And yeah, essay and speech, elementary and middle school. Like, so when you said that there's and the other ones, so that's the second one and third one, you said that you have to go there like online. They're going to give you like they're going to basically do improper. They're going to give you like a topic and you have to write about it or speak
Right.
about it. So in the first essay and speech elementary middle school, do they do that same thing?
So for elementary and middle school, the essay and speech competition, you know the topic ahead of time. It's already on the website. And there's a workshop last week explaining the topic as well for elementary and middle school. So the topic is already there. You already know what you're going to write about, and you have multiple weeks to write it, you know. So you have time, you can start writing now and you submit it in a few months. And same with the speech. You have a lot of time to prepare your speech before competition day. And then you give the speech, right? Extemporaneous essay and speech, you don't know what the topic is going to be until like a few minutes before. Oh, I mean, like an hour before. They give you some time, right?
And
So you have to prepare it on the day of the competition.
And for information campaign, like, do you have to use like only a speech or like a speech or like a essay or something? I can do use other stuff.
Yes, so you can use other stuff, and we're going to talk about that in a few slides. Don't worry about that. We're getting there. What
Okay.
exactly an information campaign looks like. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? All right, let's move forward.
Sorry,
Mhm,
it
yeah.
took me a minute to unmute.
Yeah.
I have a quick question about the deadline for the registration. So would that mean that we're just submitting, the children are just submitting like the topic, or would they be like submitting their, I guess their whole campaign?
No. Okay, so the
Okay.
registration deadline is just a jot form identifying to Moffic that you intend to participate in this competition. Yeah, and that's you know, the registration will encompass, like, you register for different categories. You can register for the speech, the essay, extemporaneous essay and speech, and information campaign. You have like a little checkbox. You choose which competitions you want to do. You give your basic information, and you submit that
Okay.
payment. Yeah,
Okay, so this is just like the intent to compete right now,
Exactly.
not that we have to like kind of submit an outline or anything like that. Got it. Thank you.
that comes a week later, and that's actually what we're going to talk about next.
Okay.
The topic. So now, like we said, for the essay and speech competition, there's a specific topic that you need to write about, right? It's given to you. For extemporaneous, the topic will be given to you on the day of. However, for the information campaign, we're not going to give you a topic. You have to make up your own topic, right? You choose a topic that you're interested in, that you want to campaign about, that you want to advocate for. It should be a specific issue you believe you can use to kind of to show how you are embodying the theme of leadership and legacy, right? You are becoming a leader and leaving a legacy through your campaign. So it should be a topic that you can connect to that. You can show how it connects to that. And it should be a specific issue, a problem you see in society, a problem you want to solve, or just something you want to advocate for, you want to raise awareness about. And that based on that, you choose your topic. It can be a current issue relevant to Muslims in the world, or even in your own country, or in your smaller community. Something you notice among your friends, or among you know, your community generally, right? Now, we want to make sure that the topic is something that's specific enough and that is in line with the general theme. So before you start campaigning, we ask you to submit your topic proposal in a Google form. All right, the QR code for that form is up here, and I'm sending it in the chat as well. This is the form specifically for the topic proposal. All this information will be sent to you in an email afterwards as well, inshallah. But this form, this Google form, essentially, it's very simple. You're just saying, you're giving your basic information, you're giving who your teammates are, and you're just writing a brief summary of what your topic is going to be, and potentially some information about, you know, how you plan on doing this. Do you plan on, like, what kind of methods you plan on using in your campaign? But it's not a very detailed outline. You don't need to do that yet. It's just some basic information, and you can change it later on, right? You can alter it. Obviously, if we approve the topic and later you want to do a different topic, email us and let us know and ask us just to confirm that that's okay. And the reason we do this is just so that, you know, we make sure that the topic you choose is specific enough and is relevant enough to the theme to be within, right? Because one of the things you are judged on is how creative, how specific, and how relevant your topic is. So we want to make sure that you're you know, keeping to that those guidelines. So that's why we ask you to submit this. And the deadline to submit this is by November 30th. And within a few days after you submit it, inshallah, you should get a response by email telling you that, you know, your topic is approved. or that maybe like, you know, your topic is great, but we want you to make a few changes, or, you know, look at it in a different way, or, you know, we might ask you to modify it a little bit. But inshallah, the deadline for submitting the topic proposal is November 30th. And the reason that is because right after November 30th, you need to start immediately, because, you know, like we said, we want you to take the full 8 weeks to do the campaign. And if you start any later than that, then you might end up not having enough time. But you can submit it before November 30th. You can submit it as early as tomorrow, right? No worries. So the latest we want you to start is November 30th, because we want you to have enough time to do the whole campaign properly. Any questions about what the topic? Or let's continue. We'll take questions in a bit. So now, how do you choose your topic, right? Like we said, it's your topic should be something that you're passionate about, that an issue that you see, you know, it should be something that's meaningful to you, right? Don't just think of like, oh, what are problems in the world? Google like random problems in the world and find one, right? It should be something that you actually care about, right? It's a problem that many Muslims are facing, either Muslims that you know, or Muslim, I mean, everyone cares about the Muslim community in general, right? So as long as you care about this topic, that's good enough. Okay. Now keep in mind, right, your topic should be related to the theme, but what does that mean? Since the theme is leadership and legacy, you're not campaigning about leadership and legacy, right? Your topic isn't going to be leadership and legacy, and then you're gonna, you know, create, you know, content about how to be a leader and how to leave a legacy. That's not the goal of the campaign. The campaign's goal is you choose a specific issue, and then you become a leader, and you try to leave a legacy by engaging in this campaign project, right? And doing whatever you're doing for the campaign. That's how you embody the theme, right? You're not talking about leadership and legacy. You are being a leader and leaving a legacy, inshallah. So that's the aspect of leadership and legacy you need to emphasize in the campaign. Now, you may have noticed that the essay and speech topic for middle school involves the element of kind of coming up with a project idea, something that a project you could do to leave a legacy, right? Have you guys seen that, for those of you who are in middle school? Thumbs up, thumbs down. You notice that, right? Now that it is okay if you want to overlap, right? So for example, you thought of an idea for a project for your essay, right, and speech, and you're talking about that project. In your information campaign, you're not going to be talking about it anymore. You're going to be doing it. Okay. Even if like your project might be kind of on a larger scale than what you're actually physically able to do, but it's okay to let it overlap, or it to be related, or even the same thing, right? You talk about a project that you want to do, and then in the information campaign, you actually do it. You start that project, you campaign about that issue that you were talking about, right? So it's okay for it to overlap there. And this is specific to middle school. High school doesn't have a specific essay topic, right? So it's not going to apply there. Now I want to ask you all for some examples. Like, what do you think an example for a project if you're in middle school that you've thought of for your essay, or just generally, like, what kind of thing do you think you would want to campaign about? And we're not holding you to this topic at all. It's just kind of ideas. You can write it in the chat. I'll give you all about a minute. You can write it in the chat, or if you want to unmute and just throw out some ideas, right? Like I said, this is not.
Yeah, sorry, I to cut you off, but I don't quite understand what do you mean by I understand. I couldn't hear you because I was a little far away.
So what I'm asking is, what are some ideas that you might have about a topic that you want to campaign about, right? So I'll give you one example, and then you can't use this example, right? Think of something else. For example, you're really passionate about the environment, maybe. So you want your topic to be about poverty. There you go. So Ayan says poverty. Maybe you're really passionate about helping out poor people in your community. So you talk about a project that, you know, where you can take lead an effort to support maybe, like, you know, homeless people in your community, providing, you know, resources for them. And that's your project idea. And you talk about that in your speech and in your essay. And then practically in your campaign, you start some kind of effort, either through or not another organization, but you basically start a campaign to raise awareness about the issue or to point people towards resources, right? Like maybe you want to raise money for certain homelessness efforts that are going on already, right? So part of your campaign could be raising awareness and then also giving people ideas of where to donate to do with homelessness, all sorts of things. You put together a campaign that is centered on the idea of homelessness, right? Let's see, what else did people write? Okay, leadership. Yeah, so leadership is not a campaign topic, right? You'd have to be more specific. Let's see, pollution. Pollution is a good one. But like I said, so even pollution is kind of broad, right? Even poverty is broad. That's why I kind of narrowed it down to homelessness in your community. You want to keep it a little bit more specific, right? You don't want to just talk about like a general problem that exists in the world, right? Pollution is just super broad. Try to narrow it down, say like pollution from cars affecting, like just like kind of narrow it down a little bit. And then, raise awareness about a specific issue, give examples for how people can, maybe pollute less in their daily lives, maybe encourage people to like pressure, like sign a petition to pressure a local company to like reduce their pollution, whatever the topic is. You can do multiple things related to the topic, but make sure it's specific enough where it's not just like, pollution, right? It has to be, a little bit more specific than that. Sports, not quite sure how you would make a campaign out of that. You have to, again, like you said, it has to be a specific issue. Narrow down your focus a little bit. Global problems and how to solve them. Again, global problems is that's the idea we're going for. That's how you choose your topic. You start thinking about global problems that you care about, but the topic that you actually choose has to be a very specific global problem, right? And then, or even a specific application of a global problem or a specific manifestation of a global problem. Like war is a global problem. Even the war in Gaza is a global problem, but even that's too broad. You want to maybe focus on like humanitarian aid in Gaza, or like I don't know, like the U.S. Involvement in supporting Israel, or U.S. companies support. Like you choose a specific topic. Does that make sense? Does anyone have a question about how specific these things need to be?
I had a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so there's something called SDGs. UN made the United Nations made that. It's
Yeah.
like
Sustainable
Sustainable Development Goals.
Yeah.
So I done a whole like year-round course about it, and so I want to know that if I can use, is that like a general topic, because there are I think 18 SDGs which are like very not general, they're like specific goals. So would that can I use that for my information campaign?
So you can't campaign about SDGs. That's way too broad, right? You want to
No,
choose a specific problem.
having, yeah, I was saying like if I like saying like mentioning those problems that are happening. For example, one is like equal rights and stuff. So they can like mention that problem and like have like find solutions and like other stuff. That's what I mean.
So if you want to take one of the problems, right, one of them and say, like, for example, equality, right? That's a great one. Still, equality needs to be more specific. So, for example, if you want to choose a topic about equality, I want to ask you right now, think of an example. What is a specific problem in equality that you see right now in the world?
One equality is that not fair foods. No, I mean maybe not rights to anyone actually. Like in people, for example.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not getting equal rights as people who are living in other countries.
Perfect. So you're talking about now equality in Gaza, right? That's a specific topic. That's a good topic, right? You can talk about that, and then you can connect it to the SDGs. You can, that's great, right? But you want it to be specific. Even equality, SDGs is really broad, right? So like I said, you want to narrow it down to a specific problem or issue, and then you can connect it to these broad concepts. Same with
Yeah, that's
equality.
what I want to
Equality
do.
is a good topic, as a good like theme, but you want to narrow it down, like you said, equality in Gaza, that's a good one, right? That's big enough. Okay, do you understand how that works?
Yeah, I just want to know like if SDGs are how do you call it? Are if they are like if they're in like a general topic. So now I know it's a general topic. So.
Yep, it is general. That's good. Any other questions about how to choose a topic or how to submit your topic proposal? Okay, let's move on, inshallah. So the first thing you're going to do once you start campaigning, right? After you submitted your topic proposal and it's approved, you want to start making an outline of what you're going to do over the next 8 weeks, right? So the first thing you want to do is develop a goal. You want to figure out what is the goal of my campaign, right? For example, we said a potential goal is creating awareness, right? You want to create awareness about an issue. If you're campaigning about equality in Gaza, every single part of your campaign is about telling people about the inequalities that exist in Gaza. You want more people to know about the issue, right? That's the goal, is to create awareness or spread the information so that people know. Maybe people just aren't aware of this idea generally, or maybe people have the wrong idea, right? And you want to correct that. Or another potential goal is raising money, right? Maybe there is a fund that is promoting equality, and you want to, that's related to your specific topic. And part of your mission is to, of course, every campaign will have an element of creating awareness, right? Because that's kind of the point of the campaign, but it could also have the goal of raising money for a certain cause. A third one is a call to action, which means, you're trying to get people to do something. Maybe you want them to write to their, local representatives, or you want them to make a change in their own life, or you want them to sign a petition. There's different kinds of things where you're raising awareness about the issue, but you also want people to do something with that, right? So that could also be a goal. And then you have to identify, like, what is it that you want them to do? What is the goal? So, like, for example, the goal is, after my campaign, I'm hoping that, at least 500 people will be aware of this issue, and most of them will now take steps in their life to, to change something about their life, right? Depending on what your campaign is, that will look different, right? So those are potential goals. So you want to create a goal, and, obviously write that down. And you're going to base your whole campaign, all the content that you create, around that goal. And you can have multiple goals, like we said, right? The second thing you want to do is write a mission statement. And what that's going to include is, you're going to talk about your goal, and you're also going to look at who is your target audience. So who are you campaigning to, right? Because, depending on what kind of campaign you're conducting, what the topic is, it might be something that has a local impact. So you're mostly campaigning in your local community. It might be something that's global. So you want to campaign maybe online then, right? Through social media or something, to reach a broader audience. So you need to identify, who am I campaigning to? Who do I want to see my message, right? And the third thing is, how are you gonna achieve your goal? What methods are you gonna use to accomplish your goal? And when you think about that, you need to think about both the goal and the target audience, right? You need to think about, how do I jump from my goal to my audience? What is the best way for my audience to receive my message? So, like we said, if it's a community issue that's only related to your community, you want to, go to the places where your community frequents, right? If your community is mostly going to your community center or your school or your masjid, you want to go to those places and focus on maybe spreading the message there. If your community is a lot of young people who are on social media, if your audience is a lot of young people on social media, that's where you want to promote your message, and that's where you want to campaign, right? YouTube, you want to kind of tailor, if your audience is maybe an older generation, and you're creating a YouTube video, you want it to be a style of video that they're going to enjoy more, right? So you want to kind of tailor and like cater your message and your campaign to your audience. And that's the third thing that you want to include in your mission statement. Yes, Anna. You have a question?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. So like, there are like, these are many companies. I mean, there are companies that who try to solve problems, like, for example, GoFundMe and stuff. Those type of companies. So, and they are trying to solve problems. Like, for example, I'll get another company, like how do you call it? Environment companies, that they think a lot about environment, and they make like environmentally friendly stuff and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So what I'm trying to say, in those type of companies, can you like see like what's the what they're trying to promote, what they're trying to solve, and take what they're trying to solve as a topic, and trying to say that this company did this, and they did many good things, like for example, like that, something that
Yeah.
will another proof or evidence, like some source that we can refer to.
Mhm.
So would that be nice? Okay, is that allowed too?
Yeah, so your entire campaign can't be connected to only one other organization or company. However, in the process of your campaign, you do need to do research, right? A lot of research. And so those companies or those other projects are going to be helpful for your research. And then you are also allowed to, in your promotional material, in your campaign, reference certain, other organizations that are doing good work. You can say, for more information, go here. You can say this company or this organization is doing a lot of good work in this field that I'm trying to campaign about, so donate to them, right? I would discourage you from making your own GoFundMe page just because, you probably don't have enough time in the course of your campaign to create a strong enough organization where you have the ability to independently help people, right? You're
Yeah,
probably going to be going
asking
through something
because
else.
I was asking because my brother has a company that's not company. He started like 4 or 5 months ago. So
Mhm.
I just want to see if I can like because they're doing almost same stuff.
So if your brother's company is doing work that relates to your campaign, you can definitely involve aspects of it. Like I said, you're not gonna do whatever your brother's company is. You can't use that exact same thing and just make your whole campaign only about that, right? You want to have other sources as well, other references, other connections to other organizations. If you're encouraging people to, take action or donate, it shouldn't be only connected to one thing. It should have a few different ones, right? But that doesn't mean you can't ask for data from them or examples from them or research what they're doing to help you create your campaign. You can definitely do that. That answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? All right. Now, the next thing you want to do is identify your platforms. And we talked about this previously, right? How are you getting from your goals to your audience? The way you do this is you figure out, first of all, what platforms you're going to use to conduct your campaign. You have multiple options, a lot of different options. You can use things like social media, other online methods like blogs or, video posts, websites. You can do in-person advocacy, right? We've had students in the past who gave speeches in different places. You can do, physically print out pamphlets to hand out or posters. You can do anything that kind of sends your message, any method you can use to convey your message and advocate your campaign, you can use that as a platform, right? We encourage you to use more than one platform, right? To make sure that your message gets out and you reach the full scope of your audience, right? Don't just stick to one thing. Like if you decide you want to make YouTube videos, don't only do YouTube, like post your videos other places too. Maybe do at least one other thing besides videos, right? Maybe make some kind of poster, artwork, or something like that, right? And then make sure that your chosen platforms, whatever platform you end up choosing, make sure it is the best way to reach your target audience. Like we said, if your audience is a local community, you want to do something that they're going to see. If it's a global community, you want to do something that they can access. If it's an older generation, if it's younger people, if it's teenagers, like you want to do something that, the audience that you are trying to campaign to, that they're going to receive the best. Does that make sense? Okay, now what content are you going to use? We talked about the platforms you're going to use, but what are you actually going to create? What content are you actually going to do, right? We said it doesn't have to be an essay or speech, like in the essay and speech competition. You can be creative and you can use whatever skills you're good at, right? The best things to use is whatever you are best at, right? This entire list of items are just ideas, and none of them is better than the other, right? What's best for you to use is what you are good at doing, right? Look at your own skills, look at your own strengths, and that's what you want to play to. You want to make sure that you use whatever you're good at. So if you happen to be good at speeches, you can do speeches. But if you're better at making videos or artwork or, maybe just like talking to people, right? You like just kind of going around and saying, "Assalamualaikum, can you give me a minute to talk to you about my campaign?" Right? Maybe you like that. Maybe you're social. Maybe you like making charts and graphs, right? You can do that as a part of your campaign. Obviously, you have to send it out with like an interpretation of it. Or maybe you like writing, right? You want to write blog posts, or you want to write even just regular like social media posts, right? That works too. So this is a not at all a comprehensive list, but this is just a list of ideas of things you can use, methods you can use that you know, you can use for your campaign. Does anyone have any ideas of what you might use that's not already on this list? Give me an idea of like, you know, some method you can use for your campaign that's not here. Some form of outreach, some content that you can put out there that's not already on this list. You can write it in the chat or feel free to unmute.
I would. I mean, I'll use maybe most probably like a type of presentation of like maybe presentation of companies all together, like for like maybe 10 companies, or like what each of their goals are, out what each their goals are, and in like global problems they're trying to solve, and trying to like like no maybe highlight how they're doing it and how we can learn from them. So might it might be a presentation, but like a different type presentation.
Okay. So a presentation, that's good. Where do you think you would do this presentation?
Online.
Okay, that's good. Somebody wrote in the chat workshop. Someone else said, can we use more than one method? Absolutely, you should use more than one method. You should use more than one platform, and you should use more than one method. You should at least do, I would recommend at least 2 or 3, right? Videos or whatever you choose, do at least a few, right? And you have 8 weeks, so you can schedule it out. You can say, okay, next week I'm going to do some artwork. 2 weeks from then, I'm going to do some videos. Then after that, I'm going to do, you know, social media posts, 1 per week for 4 weeks, you know, like plan it out. And that way you're working on it every week or every 2 weeks, you're doing something, right? And you're kind of putting it out in short, in small bursts, right? So that you can build over time. Because if you want, like, for example, if you make a social media page about your you know, your chosen issue, and you do it like 2 weeks before the competition, probably not, a lot of people are not going to see it in 2 weeks, right? But if you do it 8 weeks, you have more people will see it by the end of those 8 weeks, right? And especially if you slowly start building up content, you put one thing, then next week you do something else, and the next week another thing. Slowly you'll get more viewers, and you'll be able to reach a larger audience over time, right? So you want, and then if you limit yourself to just one type of thing, maybe everyone's not into to videos, they want to read something. Or maybe everyone doesn't want to read, they want to see a video. First, you do multiple things so that and so that they complement each other, and you can reach a greater audience that way. Okay. Let's go next. All right. So as you're conducting your campaign, right, you want to keep a few things in mind. Number one, you want to plan, you want to make yourself a plan before you get started, right? So you're not just, so everything is kind of connected together, all working towards the same goal, right? So you want to have a complete plan. Obviously, some things might change. You may see that, okay, you know what, my YouTube videos are doing much better than my website, so I'm gonna like ignore the website and I'm gonna switch to doing more videos, right? You can alter it based on feedback, right? And that's a good thing. And you'll actually keep track of that, and you'll mention that in your presentation. Say, originally I planned to do this, but then it turns out this was working better, and that this was reaching more people, and people had more comments about this, so I'm going to focus more on that. So I decided to focus more on that, right? So you're going to keep track of everything you do, and changing it is not a problem, right? Changing your plan, but you want to start out with a plan. You want to create a timeline, right? The timeline should say from starting from today, like let's say you start on November 23rd, starting from November 23rd until January 25th, right? What am I going to do each week or every 2 weeks, right? You want to plan it out, and you want to create a timeline, and you're going to present everything that you're doing here, like the timeline as well. You're going to keep that in your presentation. You want to try to use the full time, right? Like I said, don't start late, because if you start late, you won't be able to do a full project, and that's gonna make your campaign suffer. You want to try to interact with your audience. At least some of your content should be something that people can interact with. Either people can give you feedback, or like I said, you go physically and talk to people, right? And ask them like, oh, how much do you know about this, right? And then keep track, say like, most of the people I talked to, they didn't know anything about this topic. Or most of the people I talked to, they knew about it, but they didn't really care. They didn't realize how big of a problem that is, right? So you want to interact with people, you want to get feedback, you want to hear what people are thinking about your campaign. and you're going to document that as well. The more people that get your message, the better. So diversify your audience, right? Don't limit it too much. So like, for example, your classmates at school, that's too small of an audience. So you want it to be bigger than that. Maybe keep it all, middle schoolers and high schoolers, right? That's a little bigger. Or all the middle schoolers and high schoolers in my community, in my county, or all the, young people in my masjid community, for example. Right? That's a little bigger. Don't keep it too limited. So you want to keep it bigger. And then ideally you want to diversify it so that, it's not just one type of audience. It's not just young people, or it's not just old people, or even in Muslims and non-Muslims, right? Ideally, you want to create some content maybe that's only for Muslims and some that's not. But if the topic is something that's specifically Islamic, that doesn't mean that you can only campaign to Muslims, right? For example, if you choose something like Gaza, that's not specific to Muslims. Non-Muslims should know about it as well, right? So you wanna try to diversify your audience. You want to create original work and cite your sources. So do not, don't start posting on social media things that you just found online, right? Don't just take an image you found online or take a graphic you found online and just post that. You want to make up your own stuff. You want to research topics, write down your ideas. You want to make your own videos. You want to make your own, and don't just like find a video online. It's like, oh, this is already about my topic. Let me just put this. No, you want to make your own stuff because you will be scored in the competition based on how creative your own content was, right? So you want to make up your own content. It has to be stuff that you made, artwork you did, things you wrote, right? Of course, you can reference, and you have to actually, if you write something or you make a video, you want to cite your sources, right? You can't just be making like information up, right? Obviously, you have to get it from somewhere. So you want to tell us and you want to document that. Where did you get your information from? What websites did you use? What organizations did you consult, right? So you want to keep track of that. And lastly, everything you do, you want to save your work. Like I said, if you make a plan, keep track of your plan. You made a timeline, you want to save that. You got feedback about anything, you want to keep track of that. Any content that you created, you made a video, you made some artwork, you made some posts, you made some a poster, a pamphlet, whatever you made or whatever you did, you want to keep track of that, whether it's photos, videos, images, whatever it is that you've done. And if you did something in person, like physically, take pictures, right? Like if you were talking to people, have someone take a picture of you while doing that, right? Just so that when you present on the day of the competition, you have a record of everything you did. Okay, does that make sense? Yes, so there will be a check-in in I think the end of December where we're gonna ask you, can you give us an update on your campaign? And at that point, we want you to update us on what you've done so far, what you plan on doing, and we'll give you some feedback at that point. But if you want feedback before that, feel free to email us and say, here's my plan. Do you have any feedback? And we'll let you know. We'll say, this looks great. Maybe do a little bit more of this. Maybe look at, potentially adding something else, right? So we can give you feedback if you ask for it. If not, we will ask you for a check-in at the end of December, just to make sure you're on track and that you understand, how to do the campaign properly. Yes, the email is essays@mafic.org, and it'll be on screen at the end of the end of the presentation as well. Okay. Now, what is the presentation? So at the end of your campaign, on the day of the presentation, on the day of the competition, you're going to present your campaign to a panel of judges, right? The judges will be there. You're going to make us a PowerPoint or Google Slides or Prezi or any sort of presentation. And you're going to sit there in front of the judges and you're going to use that presentation to showcase what you've done over the last 8 weeks. You're going to include what your topic was, what your goal was, mission statement, the timeline of your campaign, how long it took you, what you did every week or every couple of weeks, like over time. And then you're going to include any details about how you conducted your campaign, what problems you faced, if any. Did you get any feedback from your audience, from your community? Show your work, right? Your creative work. If you made any videos, you made any any content, any artwork, you're going to show it. If the videos are long, right, because you don't have a lot of time for your presentation, then you're just going to show a sample from it. You don't want to show the whole thing, right? It'll take up too much time. But you can send it to us beforehand. And then at the end, I want you to reflect on your campaign. Just talk about, any thoughts you had. Did it go well? Did it not go well? Did you achieve your goal? What might you do differently next time? Right? Those sort of things. that you have about 15 to 20 minutes for your presentation. So what that means is that try not to take less than 10 minutes, because if you take less than that, you probably didn't, fully explain everything that happened. And then don't go above 15 minutes, right? So you want to keep it short, but not too short.
I had a question. Sorry. Yeah, so for like if I make a project or something and I want to present it to the judges, I'll have to present it like by reading and stuff, right?
Well, no, ideally you want to prepare your presentation so that you don't have to really read anything, right? You're talking to the judges. You're explaining what you did. That's what the presentation is.
I mean, like, are the judges going to just read our presentation and then just done, and then they're going to like do that, or just we have to like memorize or whatever we wrote, and we have to like just like give it as a speech to them?
No, so you're giving it as a PowerPoint presentation. So like, just like how I just did, I have slides on the screen. And
Yeah.
each slide is a different topic. That's how you
Yeah.
read it. So there may be some things you want to read off, right? Like, for example, I just
I-
read topic, goal, and mission statement, right? But there's other things that you're just going to say, oh yeah, I did this, I went to this masjid. And so some things you're telling us, some things you might be reading, but for the most part, you're explaining what happened, what you did. And you don't need to submit your presentation to the judges beforehand, although actually we prefer you do like the day of or the day before. You want to submit your presentation, just submit the PowerPoint slides, but you're not going to be graded on the slides themselves. You're graded on how you present the slides. Okay, we'll talk about the rubric after this. And yes, these slides will be shared with you afterwards, along with some other
I'm
resources.
sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I meant another thing. I meant like, if to present the thing, am I going to present to the judges by reading it to them or stuff? Like I'm memorizing to them, or are they just going to read it and then they're going to judge it?
No, they're not going to read it. You have to tell them. You have to
Oh,
say,
okay, that was
Yeah.
my question.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be there, they can, but they're not going to be reading it. They're going to be looking at you. So the slides are just more for support, to support your presentation, right? And there's going to be a workshop, inshallah, in a few weeks about the art of speech. And inshallah, the presenter will probably also talk about the art of presentation. So there's speech and then also how to present from like slides, inshallah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. This is an example timeline. We're running out of time, so I'm not going to go over it. But basically, make sure you take up the full 8 weeks because you might need it, right? And time your different content, like spread it out, right? Don't put it all in one place. You want to sort of spread it out throughout the entire 8 weeks, inshallah. If you have any questions, feel free to email us. Now, these are some dates that you need to know, right? So if you need to screenshot this, take a picture of this. The registration deadline for the information campaign competition generally is the 23rd, November 23rd. The topic proposal deadline is November 30th, right? So you have a few weeks for that. And that's just very basic, brief information about the topic. And we're going to respond to you approving the topic. We're going to check in with you on December 28th. So you should be well into your campaign by then. You should have already started. You should be, going full steam, right? You should already be halfway through your campaign because that's the halfway mark. There is a few upcoming workshops to keep in mind. One workshop is on the art of writing. This is more to do with the essay competition, not the information campaign competition, but it could be useful. Then there's another workshop on the art of speech. This can be useful for your speech competition and also for presenting your information campaign competition, okay? And then you are going to present your campaign on the competition day, and that is January 25th. For those of you who are not from the DC, Maryland, Virginia area online, and then February 1st at ISB Islamic Society of Baltimore for those of you who do live in DC, Maryland, or Virginia, inshallah. And the award ceremony will be at the in-person competition and streamed online, inshallah, for those of you who are online. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, so quickly, briefly, I'm going to go through the rubric. This is what you're scored on. There's 3 things you're scored on. The first thing is the content. This is what did you actually produce, right? Was your campaign, was each thing that you put out, each video, each post, was it creative? Was it original? Was it well researched? Was it thorough? Did it seem like you actually put a lot of thought and effort into creating the content? The second thing that you're going to be judged on is the delivery of the campaign, right? Did you use a lot of different platforms? Did you use different styles of material? Did you spread out your campaign over the full course of the time, right? Those are the things that are important. The third thing you'll be judged on is the presentation on the day of the competition. So how well did you explain to the judges what you did, basically? Was the visual aspects of your presentation as well as your presentation of it, your speech. It's not really a speech, it's more of a talk kind of you're presenting, but how well did you do that, right? That's the third thing you're judged on. And this rubric is also available online, and we'll send it to you, inshallah. Okay, jazakumullahu khairan. Like we said, if you have any questions, please email essays@mafak.org. And if anyone has any questions right now, feel free to unmute and mention it. Okay, if there are no questions, we will end here. Jazakumullahu khairan. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you.